Congress is shut down, people. Have you heard about that? That's right. With their whopping 10% approval rating, which it's like as high as it's been in years, they decided to walk out. This is the House GOP, decided to shut down the government, mostly the Tea Party faction, because they're not happy with Obamacare. But don't take my word for it. Let's find out a little information about the shutdown. Okay, so a real simple explanation of the shutdown and what it means. Basically, every year the government has to pass a budget by a certain deadline to continue existing. This deadline was midnight on Monday. This year, some Republicans, basically the Tea Party wing in the House, refused to pass a budget unless we get rid of or delay Obamacare, which obviously Obama has backed and the Supreme Court has said is legal. Obama and the Democrats say they won't be held hostage by Republicans trying to get what they want, since everyone, including Congress and the Supreme Court, already upheld Obamacare. That's what I just said. And the government will come back when they pass a budget. Okay, so we are in day 2 of this. The World War II memorial was blocked off. There's this thing at the NIH where kids with cancer aren't getting trials. I mean, this is just absolutely absurd. As we tape this right this second, it just broke that Obama is going to meet with Boehner and Harry Reid today, so maybe something will happen. But President Obama had this to say at the White House yesterday.
Republicans in the House of Representatives refused to fund the government unless we defunded or dismantled the Affordable Care Act. They've shut down the government over an ideological crusade to deny affordable health insurance to millions of Americans. In other words, they demanded ransom just for doing their job.
Okay, so there you have it. President Obama is being very clear. This is a law that was already passed, and now they're trying to stop the government because they don't like the law, which everybody knew. Is 100% blame here on this Tea Party faction of the GOP?
I'm going to put it at they get the 2%. Senator Ted Cruz gets another 98. Because this, I mean, this
You're
is
really laser pointing.
Yeah,
it
this
on
is
him.
where it originated. I mean, of course, the different resolution, or at least their different budget, came up through the House. Yeah. Ted Cruz is a senator. You wonder why I'm connecting the two. He basically, and this has been said today too, he basically told them, I need you guys to send up this stupid bill that defunds Obamacare, or at least delays it for another year, and then include it with, I have a great idea with our budget so that we can now they'll be forced to go along with what we need to do. Now, he was getting pushback from that before it finally happened. But we had people like Representative Peter King, and he came out and said, this guy is crazy, but you know what? We're going to give him what he wants and watch him just flounder and watch him fall apart in front of all of us.
Peter King, a guy who I'm pretty sure you wouldn't agree with on 90% of the stuff, but you're giving him some credit.
Exactly. Now, with his thing, now I've also said a few weeks ago, he's already mentioned a little bit he wants to run for president, which is insane to me. But and then so if you read you know, I guess the writing on the wall, so does Senator Cruz. So I think he's already going after Cruz to be like, this guy's going to have way more support than I will, more money, so let me make sure I get ahead of this and disparage him right now. I think that's his motivation, which is fine, because they're going to fight later, but he actually comes on the right side of this because there is no real end game. Harry Reid said this is dead when he gets to the Senate. Obama said, come on, you think I'm going to sign this? So it's never going to work that way. So it was all just a stunt, really, to get more attention on Senator Cruz. Now, the House went along with it, and partially for this reason, and I think others went along with it because they kind of have to because they're Republicans and they don't have any real thoughts for themselves. So now the support is now building behind what Cruz started, and it looks like the entire party has started, and it's damaging them all.
Right. Okay, so JR's given us a nuts and bolts here, but what do you think about the broader point of everyone having to stick with party all the time and being held hostage by this little group of people and all that?
I'll use some media reference analogies. I liken this scenario to Alan Rickman robbing the Nakatomi building, claiming that this is very political when they were just robbing the building.
They just wanted money.
They were just robbing the building and pretending it was political. And that's from his perspective, that's what he's doing. Now, let's go over to what is Obama doing. I think this is Obama's Breaking Bad closing episode, where he doesn't mind how much damage this does his image as long as he knows he completely took the other side out in the process. Ah,
I like these references.
He did like a Walter on him, you know?
Yeah, that was our first Die Hard reference ever on the show. I like that.
Oh, there you go.
Very nice.
They are playing a fake indignation thing where clearly if you examine their behavior, they don't actually care about any of the things. That's the whole point of being fake royalty or whatever you think royalty's new name is for the 21st century, so you can live on this land and be it. oligarchy, whatever you want to call it. I think oligarchy, the whole point of oligarchy is I get to tell you not to do something, and then when I close my door, I get to do it.
Exactly. So
or what's the whole point of being me?
Yeah. So speaking of the fake indignation, because that's what this now seems to be about, now that we're into day 2 of this idea of the World War II memorial being closed and the veterans can't get in there, and that the Republicans are now saying, well, we'll not even get paid because everyone's just playing these little games. How do we get this thing? How do we get the discussion out of the nonsensical games? Because if you watch cable news, it's just endless bickering back and forth. And
you mean for it to get back to actual nuts and bolts and American people actually see and hear that stuff? I don't know, because that's
what this is all about.
As you said, as I was trying to rush through all of it, and there was still 5 more things I was thinking, I was like, this is beginning to get boring. I should stop.
Yeah.
That was just the internal voice in my head was going, I should stop with this spattering of everything that's going on because no one wants to hear that. And so that's going to be the general conventional wisdom.
The assignment is, regardless of what you're faced with, you try and get it out anyway. And regardless of how the initial reaction to something that is like waking up in the tub of goo in the Matrix with the wires shooting at your head and you realize what your real existence is, that's kind of shocking. A lot of people don't want to admit that right off the bat, because what does it make you do? It makes you're so decades long wrong. You've been wrong for decades. Who wants to own that? Who wants to say, I've been born wrong?
Right.
My
now, of course,
family
they don't
was
see
wrong.
it that way, of course.
Well, there's a very convenient way to lock that out, even though there may be a whisper trying to remind you of it when you're shaving in the morning. And there's ways to go into denial. But I think that other voice, when enough data is faced the other way, that voice inside gets louder and louder. You can't ignore me anymore, man. It's on every channel you flip to.
Yeah.
Now you got to look.
Hey guys, the Rubin Report is brought to you by Coupaw.com. They've got 75% off dog and cat chews, toys, accessories, home goods, and more. Use code RR for 20% off your next purchase. The link is right down there.